attention and assistance. As a representative of Taiwan's main opposition party, at least some efforts have made from the Taiwan side to the Cambodia in the past few years to hopefully enlighten Cambodian people to understand the importance of democracy. But of course, there are hopeful signs that the seeds of democracy is beginning to germinate in Cambodia. In one particular aspect, the young people's power deserves special attention. The youth now accounts for more than half of Cambodia's total population. These youth never experienced Cambodia's brutal, nearly 30-year-long civil war. Yet their demand for change is growing, increasing. And their hope is that a new political party will arise to lead the nation toward democratic opening. So the CNRP, the main opposition party in Cambodia, has been able to grow and mature through this general election. In addition to meeting the expectation of opposition supporters and demonstrating its power through unity, it has also put forward a policy statement aimed at addressing deficiencies in the ruling party, providing voters with new choice to consider. And on that part, the CMPR wanted so much to learn the Taiwan experience, especially the start of an opposition movement in the 80s in Taiwan societies. In some rural areas in Cambodia, of course, improper land expropriations has also begun to cause shift in the views of local opinion leaders, causing the ruling party's grip on some traditional strongholds to weaken, as shown by last July's National Assembly election. But due to the ruling party's control of radio and television media, during the National Assembly election, the CMPR relied more heavily on the social media and internet networking to promote itself and attract young voters. This strategy was relatively successful, especially in metropolitan areas. But Facebook or Twitter users accounts for only 15% so far of Cambodia's total population. So again, there's still a lot of room for improvement. And since the advance of social networking, Barack Obama's campaign in the 2008 US presidential election was the first to employ such a social media as one of the campaign vehicles to mobilize voters. And then local and national elections in Korea, both in 2010 and 2012, provided further evidence of the influence of social networking and young people's power. In this year's presidential election in Indonesia, Jokowi, also known as Indonesia's Obama, fully utilized social networking tools to attract support of young voters, and he did it. It's difficult to deny the effects of social networking here in Taiwan as well. A few weeks ago, in Taiwan's 9-in-1 local elections, the so-called keyboard generation, 键盘世代, used platforms such as Facebook and PTT, an electronic bulletin board system, to utterly change the results of the local elections. Handing the 100-year-old Chinese Nationalist Party, the Kuomintang, its bitterest election setback in the past half-century. The election results from Taiwan's local election are more than a mere projection of the younger generation's dissatisfaction with Taiwan's direction and with issues of social justice. As such, they have brought about structural transformation of Taiwan's political party landscape and election culture. More importantly, these results were part of a broader civil movement of the past 2 years. This movement, of which this spring's Sunflower Movement has been the highlight, was initiated primarily by Taiwan's youth and was intended to address a host of issues such as land justice, environmental protection, the safety of the nuclear power plants, military human rights, constitutional chaos, and the unfair distribution of benefits to only small amount of people associated with fast-speed cross-trade economic and trade exchanges. Of course, the incumbent Ma Ying-jeou administration's poor handling of measures affecting people's livelihood, such as the increasing price in oil and electricity, and also issues associated with the food safety, caused the ruling Kuomintang in this electoral setback. And most voters decided to use democratic ballot to teach the ruling party a lesson. The young people, a group often seen as apathetic by politicians, understood that using social media to disseminate information would far exceed the cash-intensive methods used by political parties in both speed and effectiveness. They used their votes to veto an incompetent and arrogant government. But more than that, they used their vote to veto the practice of candidates exploiting party or ethnic polarizations to increase their votes. It therefore makes less sense to speak of KMT defeat at the hands of the opposition's DPP, and more sense to say, in the face of the people power of youth and independent voters, the KMT utterly collapsed. This also explains the DPP, the main opposition DPP's landslide victory was something a little bit too good to be true. So the DPP leaders also presented a more cautious and humble attitude toward accepting the result of the elections. Because it showed that when the people raised their voices in dissatisfaction, political parties, political leaders in Taiwan cannot but humbly listen. One of the most popular topics of this election was what has been called the Ke-wen-je phenomenon. In my view, the name Ke-wen-je has come to represent more than a man. Ke-wen-je's election platform and strategy were honest and were a reflection of Ke-wen-je as a person, but most importantly, the rise of the Ke-wen-je phenomenon coincided with the wave of the changes that has been sweeping through Taiwan society for over 2 years. Although Ke-wen-je ran only for the office of Taipei City Mayor, the Ke-wen-je phenomenon was felt nationwide. Ke-wen-je, running as independent, called for the repudiation of ideological divides and dismantling of the wall of hostility separating blue and green camps. Fueled by the media and inappropriate remarks by some of the KMT's oligarchs, the Ke-wen-je phenomenon generated a spillover effect that spread throughout the entire Taiwan. The DPP, the opposition DPP, was also a clear beneficiary of this phenomenon. The DPP, a party whose good governance had earned its support in the South, was suddenly able to extend its stronghold to central and even northern Taiwan. If this is any indication, even while Taiwan's constitutional system remained imperfect, while a popular elected president can abuse power with impunity, and while there is no functioning system of checks and balances in Taiwan's institutional system, civil society still has the power to teach politicians a lesson or two. This is a slogan from the Sunflower Movement that best captures this sentiment. It's our country, we will save it. 自己的国家，自己救。 So it's not difficult to reach the conclusion that all of this is yet another step toward Taiwan's democratization. It confirms the thesis the political science master, the late Samuel Huntington, has put forward in his The Third Wave of Democracy, the masterpiece. Huntington argued that if a government cannot provide public welfare, economic prosperity, domestic order, or security guarantees, even the most democratically elected government's legitimacy will gradually be eroded. The effects of Taiwan's democratic progress have also spilled over into Hong Kong, where they have served as an encouragement to the umbrella revolution that developed out of the Occupy Central movement. As Taiwanese voters considered whether to use their vote to punish ineffective government in last month's local elections, they were also closely following the situation in Hong Kong, where the struggle of the Hong Kong people for the fundamental democratic rights of direct universal suffrage was being suppressed. The empathy of Taiwanese for Hong Kong further strengthened Taiwanese appreciation of and commitment to Taiwan's deepened democracy and freedom. It also hardened Taiwanese resistance to the use of non-democratic means or force to coerce Taiwan into accepting some form of unification in the future. And it further convinced Taiwanese to use their votes as a warning to apathetic ruling politicians. So if the leaders in Beijing are puzzling over how to analyze the results of Taiwan's local elections, apparently the result has gone beyond their original expectations. And if Beijing leaders keep wondering how the results could be so out of line with its original expectation, they need only to take a closer look at how Hong Kong people, once considered to be more conservative, more status quo maintenance, has risen to demand democracy. Then they will understand. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no perfect democratic system on this earth. Dr. Standen made a thorough comparison worldwide, including the US democratic system sometimes was in a gridlock. So I would say that the culture of democracy is a pillar that supports a democratic system and determines its progression. The achievement of procedural democracy is no indication of the presence of substantive democracy. Government competence seems to be the missing element in democracy in India, of course. So there are more room for improving the government efficiency.